And there's a couple really interesting experiments from this book that I want to share with you. So in one of his experiments, he sets up a booth, a bunch of people walking by. All right, and at this booth, they could choose one of two things. You can get a Hershey's Kiss. That's going to be my Hershey's Kiss, okay, for 1 penny. Or you can get this expensive truffle, little chocolate thing. It's called a lint truffle, for 15 cents. So you get a Hershey's Kiss for 1 penny or a lint truffle for 15 cents. The majority of the people who got this offer, what do you think they chose?
Hershey's Kiss.
He says Hershey's Kiss.
Truffle.
You say truffle. Anyone else?
Depends on if they.
You say truffle. Tyler?
Say kiss.
You say kiss. Ryan?
Kiss.
Kiss. Kev?
Kiss.
Sam?
Kiss.
Kiss. Okay, you said truffle, you were right. As a reward, you get a Hershey's Kiss. All right?
How about Charlie covered on it?
Right? So, I mean, it makes sense, right? Yeah, you get a Hershey's Kiss for a penny, but you get this really nice truffle, and it's only 15 cents. Less than a quarter. Right? You're like, fuck it, that's easy. It's better. I'll try it. I'll get it. So then he set up a second booth, all right? And he did the same thing, except now he did Hershey's Kiss is free, lint truffle, 14 cents. So he lowered the price of each by 1. Hershey's Kiss is free, lint truffle, 14 cents. Now, what do you think happened?
Hershey's Kiss free.
Does anyone think truffle? You sure? You think truffle still?
Yeah.
Okay. This time, the vast majority of people chose the Hershey's Kiss over the truffle. Why is that? Rationally, logically speaking, they both went down by 1 cent. So there's no change. Before, everyone chose this one. I lowered them each by 1 cent, and all of a sudden, all I did was lower the price on each by 1 penny, and now all of a sudden, everyone's choosing this one. What's going on?
It's free as fuck.
It's free as fuck. That's exactly right.
Free chocolate.
It's free as fuck. That is irrational behavior. It just went down by 1 cent on both. But all of a sudden, everyone's choosing this one instead of that one. Which sucks because lint truffles are actually delicious from what I hear. I hear they're fantastic. He explains it because he thinks it has to do with the loss aversion system. When it's 1 penny and when it's 15 cents, when those are your options, there is a loss that will be incurred both times. You're either going to lose a penny or you're going to lose 15 cents. But now when it's 14 and it's free, this one still activates your loss aversion system, but this one does not because it's free. And that overshadows everything else. Because your loss aversion system is not activated, your greed glands secrete, and a Hershey's Kiss you eat. Here's another experiment. And the third one and the last one to me is the funniest one, but we'll go with the second one, all right? So they did another experiment at college, and they had 2 students taste 2 different beers and then choose to get a free pint of one of the beers. So you can taste both, and then you're going to choose which one you want for free. The first one was Budweiser. The second one was Budweiser, but with 2 ounces, or 2 drops, of balsamic vinegar in it, okay, in the beer. Same beers, but this one has balsamic vinegar. Now, when they were not told about the nature of the beer, so they tried both, they don't tell them what's in it, they chose the one with balsamic vinegar, almost consistently. In fact, if anyone drinks beer, try it with balsamic vinegar, see what it does to it. It might actually make it taste better. Because most of them chose that one. I've never had beer in my life, so I have no input on this. Okay? And now they did it again a second time, and they were told what is in the beer. And now this time, almost overwhelmingly, everyone chooses the beer with no balsamic vinegar. Why? Why is that? Zach?
Because it's pre-framed so that when they hear what's in it, they taste it more, and they assume it's going to taste better, so it does.
You something to add?
Yeah. Because it's change. They don't like it.
You mean
Change.
it's a change from what they're used to?
Yeah. Plus they got commitment and consistency working for the Budweiser. If they want the one with balsamic vinegar, they have to change their entire belief system about how they drink beer.
They have to say to themselves, shit, yeah, maybe I don't like Budweiser. Both are correct, right? And there's probably other reasons why. The key one that the researchers thought in this idea was that what Zach said, right? When you tell people something that makes them think it won't taste good, that it will be distasteful, they'll fill the gap to make that true. So you tell them it's not going to taste good, they're actually going to try it, and then they're going to be like, shit, you're right, that doesn't taste good. You pre-frame them to see things in a certain direction, and then they actually do. Even though the very first time, everyone liked this one more. But now the second time, when I tell you what's in both, now you're pre-framed to believe this one's going to, because who the fuck hears Budweiser with balsamic, and you're like, fuck, that sounds good. Anyone think that to themselves? Who hears balsamic, and you're like, it's probably disgusting. Right? We all think that. When in fact, it actually apparently tastes delicious. All right? Predictably irrational. It's not clear thinking. It's like you see a movie and you think it was dope and you talk to your friends and all of them are like, what's wrong with you? The movie was terrible. And then 5 minutes later, you're like sitting there like, fuck, was it bad? You start questioning yourself. Right? It's irrational. You start questioning yourself. So let's get to the third experiment. All right? Now in this one, they asked students a series of questions. But before they asked them these questions, they had them, I kid you not, stimulate themselves to a point of sexual arousal. All right? So they're like, Tyler, get in the other room, turn yourself on, come back here when you're ready. This is what they did. Once the people were in an aroused state, they asked them a series of questions, and they marked on them. And then they took those people, and they had a different group, but they had the same demographics, basically. They tried to get the groups as close as possible. And this other group did not arouse themselves. They were just asked those questions. Same age, same race, kind of numbers in terms of like how many of each background, et cetera. They tried to make it as close as they could. Here's some of the questions they asked these people and the answers that they got. Aroused state versus a sober state, where you're not turned on at all. Can you imagine having sex with a 60-year-old woman? Most people in this room are probably, hopefully, not in an aroused state. All right, I'm not judging you if you are. I understand.
Sam.
Can anyone here imagine having, like, can you imagine having sex with a 60-year-old woman? This is a pretty free-thinking room. A couple of you are like, yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I mean, I'm just weird, though. So. Yeah, I'm super fucking weird, so whatever. But when they asked this question, if to the sober group, 7% said they could. The aroused group, 23% said they could. 3 times as many people were more open to it when they were already in an aroused state. Okay? Next question. Could you enjoy having sex with someone that you hate? Let's do it right now. Who here thinks you could have sex with someone you hate? Okay. Okay, so I mean, in this study, it was half men, half women. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. We're in a room of all dudes except for one. So I would expect most people to say yes. Okay. And by the way, this is such a stupid question. Like, haven't you ever heard of hate fucking? Yeah. Like, yeah, that's a real thing. It's a good form of therapy. Yeah. Yeah, it's therapy. So in the sober state, and by the way, at the same time, the other thing we always have to remember is that if they're answering these questions, even if it's private, they think to themselves, they want to. Some people will change their preferences to try and say the thing they think the researchers want them to say. Remember we were talking before about stating your preferences versus changing your preferences to try to win someone else's approval, which is a fool's errand. Some people taking the study will actually do that. So they won't admit they can imagine having sex with a 60-year-old because they're like, I don't think they want me to say this or whatever. Or I don't want to look silly. Or what do my friends think? So that always plays a role. But it's consistent across the board, so it's not too much of an issue. Anyways, can you enjoy having sex with someone you hate? 53% of sober said yes. 77% of aroused said yes. 4 out of 5 versus 1 out of 2. All right, third question. Is just kissing with someone and nothing more frustrating? Who here thinks just kissing is frustrating? Raise your hand. Who else? Okay, so interesting, about 60% of this room or so. So in their study, 40% of sober people said it's frustrating. 69% of the aroused people said it was frustrating. Okay, one more. And what are we seeing here? Does state matter? The state someone's in? Yeah, it matters a ton. Right, so if you're selling something, wouldn't it be better if your prospect is in a buying state first before you ask them for the sale? Isn't that important? Are you thinking about sex?
Yeah.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
So, where you tell them to pause, arouse themselves, and then
That could be done very easily, actually.
77 minutes.
I want you to imagine the hottest girl that you've ever seen. And now I want you to imagine that she's ripping your pants off. And you're ripping her pants off. And there's just torn panties and torn pants flying around everywhere. And then she jumps on you. And she smacks you across the face. And she says, fuck me like I'm your wife. Fuck me like I'm your wife. Bye now. So anyway, before Zach made it super weird. The last question was, I like this one. Would you use a condom even if you were afraid that a woman might change her mind while you went to get it? Would you use a condom, even so you're hooking up, clothes are coming off, you're about to put it in, and then she says something about a condom? Would you be afraid, while you're getting the condom, that she would change her mind? Or would you just go get the condom? Okay. Sober people, this is weird, 86% said yes, I would be afraid that she was going to change her mind. Only 60% of the aroused people would be afraid that she was going to change her mind. So when they're in an aroused state, you're like turned on. You can't imagine, when you're in a state, you can't imagine being in any other state. You forget what it's like to be in any other state. So when you're in an aroused state, you're like, yeah, I'm aroused, she's going to be aroused, like, I'll get the condom, nothing's going to happen. Sober people who aren't aroused in that moment, they know immediately what it feels like to not be aroused. They know immediately what it feels like for her to be like, you know what, let's not do this. Okay. It would be funny if you were the guy and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go get a condom, then you come back with it and you're like, you know what, let's not do this. Just frame control yourself out of the way. All right? So human beings, the whole point of all that is that they are predictably irrational. And with the right triggers, with the right tools and techniques, we can take advantage of these things to make more money, increase our sales, increase our social connections, the girls that we date, the girls that we sleep with, and truly like the fucking happiness of our lives, all of it. Very, very powerful stuff. It's something that to me I am always learning about, I am always working on, and I am always using. I'm always using it. I don't think about it much of it anymore. A lot of it is unconscious for me. So as you learn some of these things, understand that it might seem overwhelming at first. Where do I start? What do I use? Do I use it all or do I just use a little bit? It's hard for me to think about this stuff, Jason, while I'm out there in the real world. And you small chunk it. Just pick one thing at a time, use it. And the thing is, once you use something a couple times and you get a good response from the other person or from the world, your brain immediately locks it in and goes, yup, that's what we do there. That is our response to that thing, to that situation. And then you go to the next one. And then you go to the next one, and you just keep small chunking it until the whole big chunk has now been installed as a part of you. And that is your unconscious strategy as to what you're going to do and what you're going to say in a variety of different situations. Does that make sense to you, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so we're going to do a little exercise right now to wrap up this video before we get into the whole power, influence, new training inside dominance. So if you guys are watching, thank you so much for hanging out. If you're interested in learning what the hell we're doing here, by the way, do you guys like dominance? Is it good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. Amazing. Life altering.
That seemed like bullshit. I don't know, to me that seemed like bullshit. Is it actually good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, they're laughing because they know. Yeah, what'd you say? There's no words to describe, it's pointless or something like that before?
Yeah, I don't have the words. I don't have the words.
Regardless, if you do want to check it out or learn more about it, there's going to be a link or a comment or something to talk to my director, Rich, who's in charge of this program, and you can talk to him about getting into it. So use that link or email or whatever, hit him up, and I hope to see you very soon. Peace. All right, so let's do that exercise right now before we wrap up this video in particular. So there's this old question that Jim Rohn used to often ask people. He said, how long do you give a baby to learn to walk? And the answer is, as long as it fucking takes. How long do you work in a cold traffic funnel until it converts?
As long as it takes.
How long do you work?
As long as it takes.
I actually couldn't think of a third one, but thank you. Yeah, that is the answer, as long as it fucking takes. Right, you practice until it becomes natural, and then that's it. So here's just what I want you to think about right now. What 3 skills are you most proud of in your life right now? 3 skills that you have. What are 3 skills that you are most proud of in your life right now? And then once you have those, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to list out, next to each one, you can shorthand it if you want, how did you acquire each of those skills? Did anyone achieve those skills easily?
No.
Is anyone like doing this like reminded of what you actually go through to acquire those skills?
Yeah.
Anyone forget the time and effort and work that you put in? It's very natural for us to do that. We misremember the past all the time the wrong way, all the fucking time, especially when we're feeling nostalgic. You guys ever like broken up with a girl or whatever, and like the minute you guys broke up, you're like never again, blah blah blah, and like 3 years later you think about her and you're like, you know, that's pretty good. We had some good times together, right? Over time, our brain mostly forgets the bad and only remembers the good. Very, very strange how that works. I encourage you to just not remember it all. I'm just present, all right? It's funny when I say that to people, they're like, they think that's like cold-hearted or something. It's like not remember childhood memories or the past or anything like that. And I'll ask them, I'm like, do you believe in like Zen philosophy and like Buddha? And like, they're like, yeah, I think it's really good. And I'm like, you know, he talks about how the goal is to like, be present all the time and like not thinking about the past or the future and just being here now. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so where does the past fit into that? If that's not your highest value, like enlightenment or some shit like that, then yeah, you would have an argument, right? But if that's something that you really aspire to, then I don't know. Because our brains learn. Our brains know what's up. Our brains learn very quickly. We don't have to keep going back to the past to grab the lessons. A lot of times what I'll do is after some event or weekend or special like networking dinner or something that was like big or crucial or something, after it's over, I will then use my journal and I'll say I'll AAR it, right? After action review. I talked about that with you guys before? Some of you? Right, I'll AAR it, meaning what was supposed to happen, what actually happened, what did I learn, what am I gonna do next time? And I'll pull the lessons out, doing that just that way there, and then I'll never think about the past or that event again. Because I got the value out of it, I got the lesson, let's move on. That's it. Yes?
Could you repeat the AAR things again?
AAR.
So what was supposed to happen?
What actually happened? What did I learn? The last question can be like, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do different next time? Basically, using the answers to question 3, what did I learn? How am I going to apply this now? That's it. And again, don't think it, write it. Doesn't count if you fucking think it. Write it down.